Had to get loose. Exited the game with 47.1 seconds left in the first overtime. Didn't come back until $1:59 in the fourth, so he was sat for roughly 14 minutes of game time before coming back to bury the biggest shot of this ball game. C.J. McCollum had 13 points entering the fourth quarter, 28 on 26 field goal attempts in the fourth quarter and overtime periods for a total of 41, which ties his playoff career high. For Denver, Nikola Jokic. Earlier this year, we used the word sublime to describe this guy. His skill set is rare, if not unique. And he went for a triple-double, tying Fat Lever for the most triple-doubles in Nuggets playoff history. He played 65 of the 68 potential minutes. And
what do you want from me, man? I mean, you want what?
I don't want a touch screen.
What do you want? You want me to break that down in 2 plays? What
No,
we just
exactly, exactly. Tonight I don't need arrows. I don't need vision cones.
What am I supposed to do with that?
I'll give you as wide a berth as you want.
Okay,
what do you want to discuss?
The first thing I want to discuss is the emotional toll that this could take on Denver. A physical toll, you know, look, these guys are going to get themselves in the right frame of mind. There's going to be a certain amount of adrenaline to play Game 4. The problem is if you're Denver and you have that, that many opportunities to win the game and you don't get it, you will not get the benefit of the juice in the building when you show up there in less than 48 hours. And that's what I worry about for Denver. And obviously they fall behind 3-1. It's a serious mountain to climb. They win this game. That would be enough to get their bodies right for the fourth game. But to lose it emotionally, can you stay as sharp as you need to be to come in there? Because the Portland Trailblazers are going to benefit from that crowd.
Sure.
And it's going to get them through those moments because it could be a very sloppy game. And that's what I worry about for Denver. So for me, that's bigger picture. We might have seen the series right there over the period of those 4 overtimes.
But this Nugget team, and I mentioned it during that lengthy highlight read, during the regular season and throughout, they've been 13-3 in one-possession games. They've been great here. And I think that just explains to a degree why they're able to come back from down 5 and down 4 a couple of times and trail and tie. But in the end, you're right, they do lose. In the grand scheme of what we saw, whether it's Jokic or McCollum or whomever, is there a player or a sequence to you that is worth mentioning out of all of that?
I think there are 3 things to touch on right there. First is and two of those are C.J. McCollum and Jamal Murray. There's a lot of great point guards in the postseason, right? I mean, guys that have won MVPs, guys that are first-team all-league players that get all the attention. These guys are right there on that next shelf. C.J. McCollum's ability to handle the ball like a point guard and with that slippery dribble, the fact that Damian Lillard can go out of the game and now you hand the ball off to another guy that would be an all-star caliber point guard in just about any team is an incredible luxury.
There were chunks of times that Lillard didn't touch the ball for possessions after possession because you had McCollum carrying the load.
And once C.J. gets cooking like that, Dame does that. He will go watch C.J. play a little bit. So I wanted to point out that how great that performance was out of C.J. McCollum and Jamal Murray as well, what he has grown into. Let's go back to his first game in at 3 quarters against San Antonio when he couldn't buy a shot. If you remember, he had 22 points in the fourth quarter of Game 2. That might be the defining moment if they get to the conference finals that turn this entire thing around. He's been great ever since. Tonight you saw 2 young guards that don't get as much attention as those top shelf guys that put on a display for you. And if you didn't see it, this is obviously an instant classic now. You're going to be able to see this as many times as you want. And then the last guy is Rodney Hood. This is a guy that's had big buckets in his life. Has he ever had a more important 3-minute stretch than he just had at the end of that game, particularly if Portland goes on to win this series and get to the conference finals?
That's why you go out and get a vet, a guy who's ready for a moment like that. And when the time came, ready for my moment, time came and I owned it, right? Isn't that what
George Hill did it tonight for Milwaukee, too. So 2 guys are involved in that trade with the Lakers, right? They end up in Cleveland, and now look at them having big moments in the postseason because the veterans know how to play and get themselves right mentally.
2:30 and you and me live out here talking.
Unreal, man.
What a night, right?
This sets a record for us. This is the latest I've ever been out here.
Right on. I'll do it any night, man. You and me can run it back as long as we get stuff like this to talk about. Legs, appreciate it. All right, Terry Stotts after a remarkable game in Portland.
I have no idea what happened in the first half or the second half or the first 3 overtimes. And Rodney Hood came in and played great. It was a hell of a game. I've never been involved in a game like that. Regular season or playoff, but it was amazing effort by both teams. Well, I'd like to take credit for that, but actually Mo was cramping up a little bit, and so that was the reason for the substitution. But we did go to him a couple times. Obviously, the 3-point shot was, a scramble situation. CJ made a great play, but We did go to him because we liked the matchup a couple times, and he had fresh legs.
Well, this just continues a rough trend. You see the worst winning percentage in road playoff games, and the Nuggets 19-70 now. And I mean, it's rough to have to add this one to this pile, if you like, given the level of effort and their competitive spirit in this one. Somebody was going to end up on the wrong end of it, and they did. Another game was played. It felt like it was a week and a half ago, but it was actually the opener tonight. Kyrie and Boston back at home. Gucci Mane in the building. Steve, the chain game assessed.
On point.
Evidently. Many points of light. Oh, my, Jalen. Giannis. Caught a bad one there. Jumped. And I wasn't ready for the switch off of the hands and the punch, but that was just... Yeah, that's the whole bench mob doing their jobs. Tied at 67, Giannis down the lane. Little Iceman, finger roll. 2-point game. Kyrie, beautiful handle. The block at the rim from Giannis. Let's run. Let's run. The kick. Ersan Ilyasova. Splappa hits the three. Bucks lead. Chris Middleton. I'm trying to tell y'all. He goes for 20. Then George Hill, who Legs was just talking about, corner three. And the third quarter has been monstrous in this series. The Bucks again dominate that 12-minute period and outscore the Celtics by 9. Under 11 to go. Bucks up 8. Eric Bledsoe. What? That's a foul on Jaylen Brown. Where was the foul? I don't know. Giannis, Nerf ball. 32, 13, and 8. Bucks lead by 11. Giannis, I don't know how he did it, but that's 1, 2, and 3. The hard way, 22 free throw attempts tonight. He hit 16 of those. The Bucks take a 2-1 lead. Kyrie and the Celtics, bummed.
You know, what are you really going to do is slowing the game down. So the run that you would hope to make in a quarter like that doesn't happen. I mean, he shot 22 on the game. I mean, it's getting ridiculous at this point. You know, it's just slowing the game down. So.
What was your approach to trying to get to the line, and you're at the line, and you have to, make those shots?
I'm just going to keep being aggressive. That's what my teammates want me to do. I've said that in the past, and that's what I'm going to keep doing.
Yeah, I think he just stayed aggressive the whole game. I think he had the right mindset from the start to the end. He's constantly putting pressure on the basket, and I think making reads and decisions. He's just such a force, and he can get through cracks. And, I think he's going to finish or get to the free throw line a lot if he keeps playing like this.
Giannis struggled to score inside games 1 and 2. 9 points per game in the paint. Changed that tonight, 16, and a career-high tying 22 free throw attempts, as I mentioned. Average shot distance of 4 feet away. Normally, that's going to work.
Nice rising start brought to you by Mountain Dew. Through 2 games of the series, 22-year-old Jaylen Brown is Boston's co-leading scorer. He joins Kyrie and Al Horford. Of course, that game coming up top of the hour. First game of our double header. We have two big game threes tonight here on ESPN. Another huge one tomorrow night. That's over on ABC. The Rockets go home down 0-2 to the Warriors. It's as close to a must-win as there can be. Chauncey's saying it is a must-win. And we expected this thing to be tooth and nail fought-wise, but it hasn't been. And speaking of nails, on social media Wednesday, James Harden, there's no doubt now, he did get hit in the eyes. Plural. I thought that was fake when I first saw it. Today he was back at practice, working through it, getting ready for game 3. Some of the other principals also talking about their readiness at shoot-around.
Effort and execution. We talk about it all the time. Playing hard isn't good enough, especially against them. That's why they didn't win the championship past couple of years. Got to play hard and you got to play smart.
We can do it. We've got 4 chances to do it. We just got to hold home court. And we'd have to do that anyway, whether we're down 0 0-2, 1-1, wouldn't matter. We got to win our 2 home court games, and then we'll have some more shots at them.
We respect this team. You know, it's just because we played them before. You know, we went 7 games with them, so that level of respect and a level of knowledge about this team goes to another level when we play them. So, yeah, we're more locked in because we know this team can beat us.
So we know about James Harden during the regular season. He led the league in scoring and free throw attempts, but playoffs have been different. Shooting only 38% from the floor. That's 64th out of 71 qualified players. Besides scoring more points, because I know one of you is going to say that, what needs to happen for the Rockets to take Game 3?
First of all, I mean, the dude needs his eyes. He needs his eyes to be able to ball.
He missed 11 minutes.
But in all seriousness, though, they have to be scrappy. They have to be scrappy. They have to fight. They have to claw. I feel like offensively they're wasting too much time chasing Steph Curry for the switches. I mean, I'm going to show it on my tape later, but they're wasting time with that. It's James Harden. It don't matter who's guarding you. You average 36 a game. Just go do what you have to do. And Chris needs to be aggressive. They need to get a ball to Chris when James is not great at in some moments and let Chris just do his thing.
Does the scrappy start with Chris? I mean, is that the vibe?
Well, I mean, obviously your back is against the wall. You got to be scrappy. But ever since Kevin Durant reminded everybody who he was, James Harden has to do the same thing. Remind everybody who you are. A guy that dominated the regular season, putting up nearly 40 points a game. He has to come with that Game 3, with their season on the line. James, you had one of the most dominant seasons to date, and he's going to have to carry this team on his back like he did all season long if they want to stay in this series. If they lose this next game, we all know it's over. The door is closed.
How about this for having greatness around you, Michelle Beadle? People are going to criticize James Harden for his numbers and his field goal percentage, and I am too, and rightfully so, anytime an MVP candidate plays below his average in the playoffs, unlike the regular season. But he's taken the same amount of shots and scored the same number of points as Kevin Durant in these couple of games. The difference is he has help. He has the Splash Brothers. They can get going every now and then. Draymond has been terrific so far this series. Iguodala chipped in double-figure scoring last year. The Golden State Warriors are so very complete that the Rockets' margin for error is so very small. Can't turn the ball over, must get all of the hustle plays. And watch the role players play well today. Guys like Rivers and Tucker.
Tomorrow. You guys keep rushing us.
Yeah. Watch all of those guys play better when they play.
You said that room for error. They didn't play well, the Rockets, and they still were in the game.
Exactly.
So I don't know if there's room for error. This is not the same Golden State team we saw the last few years. So I think they got some room for error.
I think he just means it's an L, it's an L.
They don't have to play a perfect game to win.
Right,
they just have to be better.
All of that, everything you just heard about, that takes place tomorrow. Saturday, 8:30 Eastern, 5:30 Pacific. That's on ABC. It's Game 3, Warriors.
I
Rockets.
love you.
You know the deal. It's a must-win for Houston, according to these guys. NBA Countdown gets things started at 8 Eastern on ESPN Deportes and the app. About 20 points. That's the magic number for Gordon Hayward. When he scores 20 or more in the regular season or the playoffs, his team is 7-0. That's a nice little stat to remember, guys. And the Bucks have one of the NBA best offenses, and it's run by a total freak. Giannis next.
All this that I'm going through right now, it's because of what me and my family went through back then.